I think I'll talk about something rather morbid. You guys can handle it, I think. I hope I can handle telling it. But this is back with my sister Angie. If you've seen any of the videos about my sister Angie, but this was about, I guess if you were to ask me, Michael, have you ever seen a miracle before? And you know, a lot of people would bring up things that are miracles that maybe weren't quite so much miracles, maybe just coincidences or just things that you can't really define as that. I mean, I believe God is involved in everything. I believe he's sovereign and providential over everything, but I don't believe he always reaches in and immediately affects a situation outside of the natural consequences of things. That's what a miracle is, whenever he intervenes outside of the natural consequences of things. And I would, if you push my back up against the wall, I would go to one time that I think I saw a miracle. And this is whenever my sister, who was attempting to commit suicide, was lost. This happened often. I'd have to go out looking for her. She lived in Dallas right around me, and my parents and the rest of the family lived in Oklahoma City, and so it was always my job to go and look for her. And one day during lunch, I was heading home from lunch from, I was a pastor at Stonebrook Community Church, and my mother called me and said, will you go look for Angie? She's missing again. And so it'd become normal, so I said, yeah, I will, and turned around and started going toward her house that she still had there in Plano, Texas. Got to her house, nobody was there. Called my mom, said, Mom, she's not here. My mom insisted that something was gonna happen. She insisted that she was suicidal, so it encouraged me to stay there. So I decided to stay there and wait for her. And I was standing out in the front yard. I don't know what I was doing out in the front yard, but I saw her starting to pull up. She made eye contact with me and just took off. I mean, just boom, off she went. And so I ran and jumped in my car, and I had this 300D diesel Mercedes that went 0 to 60 and never back then, and I could not keep up with her. So we were going through the neighborhood, and I don't know where she turned. She turned left or turned right, and then, you know, it was just a guessing game and trying to get out of the neighborhood. And then once I got out of the neighborhood, I didn't know whether to go Dallas or Plano or Frisco. I didn't know where to go. I didn't even, you know, don't even know why I was trying, but I was just driving. And as I was driving, I didn't even pray. This wasn't a prayer. Then I didn't say, Lord, please help me to find her. I remember distinctly not praying because I think I was kind of mad at God about these things. I was just fed up, and I was kind of like, you're going to do what you're going to do type thing. And so I just drove, and I thought to myself, where would I go? This is the only thing that I thought to myself. I thought, where would I go if I was going to commit suicide? And I thought, I'll go back toward Oklahoma City, back toward home, rather than away from it. So I just jumped on the highway and started heading back towards Oklahoma City. And the very first place I passed, all of a sudden I thought, yeah, I'm going to turn in there and check. It wasn't a feeling, wasn't anything. It was just, I'm going to turn in there and check. And it was this hotel. I didn't know she went to a hotel. I didn't know she was I didn't know where she went. I mean, I was just driving. And Dallas is a huge city. Dallas and all the suburbs. And here I am. Here I'm going to go check in this one hotel in the middle of Dallas. And sure enough, I pull around the very back, and there was her car. And I ran to the place, and after make a long story short, I got to her. She had a gun. She was going through trying to get drunk before she did anything, and I was able to rescue her. And there was you could only conclude that was a miracle. I mean, me and my entire family concluded that was an absolute miracle. I mean, how in the world do you explain that otherwise? And this was in, I think, August of 2003. And Angie continued in her suicidal path, even though I had done that. And me and my parents and we all believed, my sisters, we all believed that there was no way God was going to let her die because he pulled off something like that. So he's going to intervene. I'm either going to find her or something's going to happen. So we used to tell Angie during those last 4 months, God won't let you die, Angie. So I don't even know why you keep on trying. Let's move to a different pattern. Let's do something else besides this talk. I don't know. We were we were just trying to find some way to encourage her and snap her out of it. And sure enough, it didn't work. You know, she stayed in her suicidal thoughts and her suicidal mind. And 4 months later, I got a call from the coroner's office, and that's they said she was in a hotel room in Denton, and she had killed herself. Now, that's a thoroughly confusing story. It's confusing to you, confusing to me, and you're saying, Michael, why'd you tell that? I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. And, you know, I don't know why I tell that other than to say this, that God is thoroughly confusing often. He doesn't work in this pattern where you can figure him out always. Like, you know, if A plus B, you know, it's got to bring up C, and you think that's the pattern he's going in, and he doesn't. He's a confusing God, and the wind blows where it will. And the wind blew in different directions that time. I do know it was a miracle. I do know there was a reason for him to have her alive for those last 4 months. I do know that he could have led me to that last hotel. I do know that he knew exactly what he was doing and exactly what was going on, and he was in control. But it doesn't make it any less confusing, because so much of our lives is trying to figure out his pattern, his program, the way in which he works. What is his MO, his mode of operation? And he doesn't have one the way we think of it. He sticks to his promises, and he sticks to his character, but the patterns are varied, and he can be a very, very confusing God. But we don't love him because he follows the patterns that we think. We don't follow him because he follows the patterns we think. We follow him because he is God, and he is good, and he has demonstrated in history that he does love us, no matter what everything else may seem like. And we have nowhere else to go. Nowhere else.